This past Sunday, the lectionary discussed the 10 Commandments, and I've chosen for today's devotion to take one of the commandments. Remember the Sabbath day and keep it holy. 6 days shall you labor and do your work, but the seventh day is the Sabbath to the Lord your God. You shall not do any work, you, your son or your daughter, your male or female slave, your livestock, or the alien residents in your town. For 6 days the Lord made heaven and earth, and all that is in them, but rested on the seventh day. Therefore God blessed the Sabbath day and consecrated it. My Fitbit has added a new annoyance to the app. It is called the Mindfulness app. For 2 minutes, I am supposed to breathe, which I had intended on doing anyway. I'm supposed to let the tensions melt away with my breathing. It lasts for 2 minutes. I saw it and figured, how bad could it be? Simple answer, pretty bad. If you were successful in your mindfulness, it would result in the beats of your heart dropping and slowing down, and you would be calm and relaxed. Evidently, I am one of the few people for whom relaxing is an aerobic activity. At the end of 2 minutes, my beats per minute had increased by 3. As I am on to say, shut up, Fitbit. I know nothing used to get me in tears faster than being told at the dentist's office to just relax. In addition to everything else, I'm supposed to relax when a guy is coming at me with a horse needle and a drill because I was going to be getting drilled and filled. My dentist takes my blood pressure before his procedures. He asked if I was aware when I was about to get like a major dental thing that my blood pressure was high. Did you know your blood pressure is high? I asked him if he was aware that I was in the dentist's office. And as someone once said, never in the history of calm down has anyone ever calmed down after being told that. Some of us are wired pretty tightly. The last thing you need to do is another thing to do, in this case, to relax and calm yourself, to our list of things to do. Yet this is exactly what God is telling us to do in the commandment. Remember the Sabbath and keep it holy. We see it as a badge of honor to be busy. As Alice in Wonderland said, the faster I go, the behinder I get. The more we do, the more we see we have to do. We literally go down the rabbit hole of doing more and more, and we become more and more tired. There is so much we have to do or that needs doing. We can't rest until our body collapses or we're otherwise forced to slow down. In Quilt Club, almost all the ladies said via Zoom chat when the COVID virus first started that they were going to clean house and get their sewing rooms cleaned and organized because now they have the time. 9 months later, it turns out having the time wasn't the problem after all, because it's not done, and that's okay. Of all of the commandments that God gave us, the one to remember the Sabbath and to just sit down and breathe is the only one that was made for us specifically. The first ones deal with our relationship with God. Those after this deal with our relations to others, parents, spouses, the community. God rested after working for 6 days. Jesus rested even when everyone wasn't cured. Why do we think that we don't need to rest? Why is it that we think we don't need to take time to be holy? What does it mean to be holy? That which is holy is set apart and sanctified. To God is holy. It is not the common. It is not the everyday. We have 6 days to do the common, to work and to labor and to get ourselves tied up in knots with all of the noise in the outside world. Even if the labor and the work is a good and gracious thing, even if we're helping, witnessing, healing, preaching, or caring for the poor, we need a rest. We need to spend some time with God. My grandmother wouldn't have handled the mindfulness app well either. I remember one Sunday after church, meal preparation was not going well. My dad was trying to talk with her, and she was busy and distracted. My dad said, "I didn't come here to watch you cook." He called her on her busyness, just as Jesus called Martha on her hurriedness. Of course, the sarcastic pragmatist in me wanted to say to my dad, "Okay then, are you fixing dinner?" Martha. But I didn't, and I'll let it slide. When God rested on the seventh day, the word for rest in Genesis literally means to exhale. We know the relief we get when we exhale after holding our breath in anticipation. When the Caps were on the verge of winning the Stanley Cup, or when the Nats were going into the final innings of the World Series, all of the oxygen in Washington was sucked out as fans waited and hoped that we might win. When we did, we exhaled and we rejoiced. There is something restful about the exhale. We can't take in new oxygen until we let the old carbon dioxide out when we exhale. God does not merely suggest that we rest. He commands that we rest. All of creation has periods of activity and of rest. We're, however, the only beings that think we don't need it. As we enter autumn, the leaves change their colors and the trees get ready to rest. The autumn has a final flurry of activity as we take in the harvest. The squirrels collect nuts, the bears fatten for the winter. We take in our crops in preparation for the quiet winter season. We rest so we can grow refreshed. The spring bulbs are not dead. They're resting until the stirrings of spring occurred. God gives us permission to set boundaries and to say no. For perfectionists, overachievers, and those who are pleasers, no and boundaries can be difficult both to say and to establish. Yet God tells us to say no to the secular world and to take time to be separate from that which is common. The work will be there when the Sabbath is over. We use busyness as a way to avoid things. If we run hard enough and fast enough, we believe we can outrun our fears, our sorrows, and our emptiness. If we keep busy and are breathless from our schedule and self-imposed requirements, we don't have time to spend with God. We are intimately aware that we have fallen, and we know God knows it even better. Why would we want to be with a harsh and judging God? Aside from the fact that God is not harsh and judging, being with God puts us in our proper relationship. We are not the creator. We are the creature. It is hard to abnegate yourself. It's hard for us not to see ourselves as self-sufficient. However, when we do realize that we aren't self-sufficient, there's a blessing in knowing that it isn't all on us. The Sabbath isn't meant to be a day of pinched-faced Puritanism. It is not meant to be a day of 1,001 things you can't do. It is meant to be a day of delight, as God spent his first Sabbath delighting in his creation, and it was very good. When we light the candles before the worship service, it serves as time to center. We've entered a holy place, and we're in a holy time. The quiet while the candles are lit, the quiet in prayer, the quiet during communion are there to give us the opportunity to hear God speak to us, to tell us that we don't have to do it all, and we don't have to do it all perfectly. Our Jewish brethren have something called a Sabbath box. They put their tools in the box when the Sabbath comes to mark the end of the work week. When the tools are more intellectual, they will write something that is bothering them and put it in the box. It remains there until the first day of the work week, when they remove it and take that burden back up. The work will be there after the Sabbath. It's a tangible reminder to them to set the day aside. And perhaps it wouldn't be a bad idea for us as well. physically to set aside the tools and the worries of the secular world and be with God. Whenever you take your Sabbath, use it as an opportunity to become closer to the Lord, setting aside the things of this world. The hymn says, "Take time to be holy, speak oft with the Lord, and the things of the world will go strangely dim in the light of his wonderful word." Amen.